build rapport and you want to get along with them,
Right.
but then you build too much rapport and you're too much on the friend side.
Yes.
You don't know how to push it. Does your script and the way you teach kind of help address that?
Yeah.
I
So
think
let's
so,
go
but I
through
just
it.
yeah.
That's right. So let's go right to drilling, right? I'll show you guys how to address that and how to handle that. And by the way, this can be done in person and or it could be done via Zoom. So we're going to have some fun with this, right? So I want to share with you how it typically goes down. Let me share with you how it typically goes down. So Sergio, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to enter the purpose of the call, right? And then you're going to see me do something where I just want you to play with me. Answer as I question. Cool?
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Here we go. Sweet. Sergio, I'm really excited to connect with you today. And really, just the purpose of the call, man, is just to ask some questions. And if everything sounds good, we can go over some options. Does that sound okay?
That sounds good.
Awesome, man. I should ask, man, where are you located?
In California.
Oh, you're in California. All right, right on. Yeah, I've never been to California. I'm over in Jersey, by the way. And so,
Okay.
yeah, I've never been to California before, but I hear I hear good things, I hear bad things, and so, yeah, ready to dive in? Time. Yeah. Let's talk about what just happened there. Two things happened there. Number one is that there's a level of disingenuine. Yeah, you guys are nodding here. There's a level of disingenuine behavior when you can tell I'm trying to look for some strong footing and building up a fake level of rapport. And so naturally, it's almost like what I like to coin this frame of the call as the honeymoon phase. Why? Because this is the point where we're trying to feel for each other a little bit. And what
Hmm.
happens is you try to pull on a single thread that you feel is the how you build rapport. Rapport is not built by trying to figure out the weather or where somebody lives or where you've been to the same countries. That is not rapport. So what is rapport? Rapport is your ability to do two things. Write this down. Number one, set the expectation of the conversation. Number two, do so with enthusiasm. Number one, I'll say it again, set the expectation of the conversation. Number two, do so with enthusiasm. Now, here, that's the first version, and we're going to role play each of them. But here's the second version. You ever been on a call with someone, Ed, Sergio, Eli, I know you have, where somebody says something where I've been on a call with some guy, and a guy goes, um, I'm like, hey, how's it going? He goes, fine. And then maybe three questions later, I'm like, yeah, he goes, yeah, ever since I was in the military, I was really in shape back there. You know how every part of my body wants to scream out, I've been in the military too. You and me, we're the same, man. I have to hold that part of me back. The reason why is because if I say, oh, I'm cut from the same cloth as well, it then puts me in a place where I have now lowered my status on the call. Remember that.
Wow.
Because now this person no longer sees me as a perceived authority. They see me as a friend. You want to know how that ends up as the end of the call? This is how it ends up. Okay, Eli, so for everything that we talked about, the cost of the program is just going to be $20,000. Ready to get started on some homework? Here's what Eli says. Eli goes, oh, okay, that sounds really good. All right, it's something I'm not buying anything today, by the way, but man, knowing that you were in the military, why is he so comfortable saying no to me? It's because he never saw me as a trusted advisor. He never saw me as a perceived authority. Yeah. And so you got to hold that part of yourself back. Now, only once I get Eli's credit card information, then I can go, I wanted to share something with you. I think you might like. By the way, I served. What? You served? And now you guys can commiserate. And here's the interesting thing psychologically. Now the customer, naturally, as buyers, we always want to feel like we're getting a deal and we always want to feel like we made a good decision. Remember that. Humans always want to feel like they made a good decision. Now, when I tell him that we're cut from the same cloth, it cements in his brain that we are alike. Our value systems are aligned. Y'all see how that works? But you got to hold back that part of you that wants to say you went to the same college. You got to hold back that part of you that says you guys attended that concert. I know it because we like to, I'm a people person too, you know, and I want to find common ground. But in sales, make no mistake, like dancing, there is a leader and there is a follower. You cannot have two leaders, and you certainly cannot have two followers. And so you have to be in that leadership position. Make sense?
Hmm.
Yes.
Cool.
What's the difference between that and trying to connect with the client?
So trying to connect with the client happens organically throughout the conversations. So when I say things to you, Sergio, like, and by the way, you're saying all the right things. I love what you just mentioned there. And this is exactly the kind of conversations that are the most fun. You know, the best part about my job, see what's happening there?
Mm.
I can organically connect with you because now you feel as if that we are akin. I don't have to ask all these wacky questions that a lot of people like to add, right? I can make that happen smoothly between my questions, you know.
Let's see.
Um, let's drill it, right? I want you guys to get a few reps behind this. And so let's do version one, which is this. I want you to set the agenda of the call, even though I try to take you into friend territory. So I'm going to go first, right? I want to model it, and then I want you guys to follow. Okay. Remember, I'm going to go first. I want you guys to model it. Ed, here's what I'd like you to do. Once I tell you that I'm excited to connect with you, I'm going to ask where you're from. And then I want you to try to drag me down a little bit and ramble. And you guys are going to notice how I take back call control and set the expectation. It's a very simple drill. Here we go. Um, hey, Ed.
Hey, bud, how are you?
I'm really good, man. Ed, I'm so excited to connect with you. There's a few things that I looked at your report before we hopped on, and so I saw that you have some big goals, and I'm excited to kind of dig in with you, man. I should ask just before we get started, where are you from?
Yeah, I'm usually from a town called my mom, but I live in California.
Oh, that's a great town. I think it's like a small population of around what, 50 or so people.
Yeah, man. You been there before?
I've never been there. I've heard amazing things, and that's why I'm really excited to connect with you because this call isn't about me, it's about you. And I really want to see how you can really maximize the value. And typically the way these calls go, time.
Mm.
And so I'm not going to take that bait. That's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah,
And I'll say this final thing before is because if you do not know how to bring the call back on track, you are heading into unmanned territory. You have to have a way. So, step one, I don't even teach this at the beginner level. I teach having a system. So, say this, that's it. Just say this. But once you get enough iterations under your belt, get 200, 300, 400, 500 calls under your belt, well, now you can learn how to dance a little bit. And then you can bring the call back on track if needed. So, let's do this as a
mm,
drill. Ready? Ed, you're up. We're going to go easy mode, right? All I want you to do, acknowledge what I say after you ask me where you're calling from. I'm going to drag you a little bit and I want you to pull the call back on the purpose of it. Cool?
Roger that.
All right, sweet. Go ahead.
Aaron, excited to connect with you today, man. Before we jump in, just look, where are you from?
Yeah, I'm actually from Jersey, man. As they say, armpit of America. I don't know if you've ever been there, but yeah, I've born and bred out here in Jersey. Have you ever been?
No, all I know is the Jersey Shore from the TV show, brother.
Yeah, I know we get a bad rap for that. I've never really been to the Jersey Shore too often. It's mostly I'm up north in New York, so that's about 90 minutes away here. And so but I always hear I get the stigmas and there's stigmas everywhere you go, right, Ed? And so
Well,
you
that's true. So that before we jump right in, man, I just wanted to let you know that these conversations are usually pretty simple, and we just ask each other a few questions. We go back and forth, and then we figure out what it is you're trying to change and where you're trying to go. And if that makes sense, then what we do is we go over some options.
beautiful. Really good stuff, Ed. Okay, you guys are gonna like this. Because I'm going to train you guys through levels. Right now,
Okay.
training wheels. This is just training wheels. But I need to know you can ride on training wheels, and then I'm going to take the training wheels off and I'm going to teach you a technique. Let's just start with training wheels, though. Sergio, you're up next. Same thing, okay? When it's not anything. When you're ready.
All right. Hey, Aaron, how you been, buddy?
Oh, I'm okay, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Look, before we got on the call, I kind of looked at some of your stats, and before we kind of jump into things, just want to kind of fill you out a little bit. Where are you currently staying at? Where are you living at?
Oh man, I'm in Florida. Yeah, I'm in Florida, land of guns and gators, and we're proud out here. And so we moved down here about 2 years ago, and it's interesting because this is the first time in so long we've actually had a cold winter. It's as low as 20 degrees, if you can believe that. I don't know if you've ever been to Florida, but mostly it's sunny weather out here, but it's been so cold. And so, interestingly enough, I had to wrap my pipes the other day, Sergio.
Yeah, that is crazy, Aaron. I've
Yeah.
never been to Florida.
Mm.
I'm in California, but it's not about me. It's about you. And so just it's pretty cool that you've been there for a bit and you've experienced some of those things. But typically the way these calls go is I'm gonna ask you a
Fine.
couple questions.
Beautiful. Back on track. Good stuff. Okay, we're good. Eli, you want to
That's
go?
hard. To be honest, that was hard
Yeah,
for me.
I'll go ahead and do it. I wasn't going to. I'm trying to get more people in this thing. So we're fixing the links in the automation with Instagram and Seth and all of that stuff. But at the same time, I'll get a rep in. Let's do this.
Yeah, man.
What
Let's
what
go.
what, what person am I? What person am I?
You'll
Sales rep.
be the salesperson, and then I'll start to ramble a little bit, and so we'll just get the call back on track. So this is just training wheels version. Then I want to show them something on call control, how I teach it. So when you're ready, start the call.
Hey, what's up? Is there in there?
Hey, yeah, Eli, it's me, Aaron.
Aaron, so nice to meet you. Before we start these calls, I'm going to break down how they go, but I'd love to find out a little bit about you. Where are you at in the world?
Oh man, I'm actually over here in Florida. Been here about 5 years. I don't know if you've ever been, but this is probably one of the best states I've ever been in, as far as weather is concerned, and also as far as people is concerned. Man, I've always used to be up north. I don't
Is
know if you're
it,
up north.
let me just interject. You said you've been there 5 years, so you're already changing things in your life.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful because that's actually what this call is about.
Beautiful. Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I knew he was going to do it. Eli took the training wheels off early. And so this is what I was going to teach you guys. So now let's get into it. So there is a formula on how you want to do this. I love breaking things down into formulaic like numerals because it's helpful for me to remember it, right? It's very easy to retain. So step number one, check this out. What are we doing here, right? We are going to pattern break. Check out the chat, right? We're going to pattern break. As far as labeling is concerned, I want you to write it down as pattern break. Now, think of it like one, and then I want you to think of it like A. There's a step. There's 3 steps to this. So step A is, here's how easy this is. Turn up the volume. Don't worry, I promise you I'll break all this down. Step number 2, this is something that you guys do all the time in an unconscious way. Compliment. Step number 3, get back on script. Mind blowing, I know, isn't it? So now I want to show you guys, let's take some training wheels off on how I can do this. And by the way, when you do this, when you break someone's pattern, and I do this, Ed, if I can just act something real quick, here's what's interesting. By breaking Ed's pattern and making it about me, that the perception is now that I am being what? Rude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rude because I told you to stop talking. But what if I did something different? Check this out. Let's have some fun. Ed, when you're ready, same scenario, okay? And then we're going to toss the football back to you. Hey, Ed, how's it going?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Oh man, I'm having such a beautiful day. I'm really excited to connect with you. You're going to get tons of value out of this call, by the way. And so I looked at some of your notes before, and I know you're trying to X so you can ultimately Y. So this call is really just all about you, but help me understand because I just love to know a lot where some of our potential customers are coming from. Where are you located?
Yeah, man. I live in California with my wife, my 3 kids.
Mm,
She's from here.
I love
She
it.
didn't want to leave. Like we were
Mm,
traveling the world, and next thing she knows, she wants to go back home for some reason. I really don't
yeah,
understand
yeah.
what that's about, but it's
Yeah.
California.
You know what I love about you, man, is that like mostly when I speak to a lot of the business owners that I speak to, it's mostly about them, like what they want to do, what their progression in life looks like. At least you're considering other people's perspectives, right? And most importantly, the one that matters the most, your wife, right?
Yeah.
Her perspective matters the most. And so the fun part about my job is, man, is I get to have a ton of these conversations. You did mention that you're located in XYZ. Let me ask, is your business online or is it like a brick and mortar? Time.
It's a hybrid. I like it.
That's a great question.
See what just happened there?
Yeah.
Now, I sent Ed some dopamine.
Yeah.
What did I say? You know what's great about you, man? And then I didn't give him a thesis. I just told him a little bit about what's good about him. The So one thing I've been getting into here, gentlemen, I've been getting into fishing a lot. I've been fishing a ton, right? And so I've
Oh,
been learning from a few guys, and my daughters and I have been fishing. So I've never fished my entire life, right? But these last 3 months, I mean, it's just been some of the most memorable stuff. And one thing that I'm learning from a lot of anglers is that typically when a fish would grab the bait hook, right? My natural instinct is to always just yank. Now, that's
Mm,
actually counterintuitive to what you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is once the fish yanks, you're supposed to set the hook, but you're supposed to let line out. In other words, don't yank, let the fish run off with it. Because if you yank, they're going to yank the other way and the hook comes loose and you lost the fish. And
mm,
so, why am I sharing this? The reason why I'm sharing this is because often when you're having your sales conversations, when somebody tries to ramble or go off the call, what we try to do is we try to
yank.
yank the call back, right?
Yeah.
Let some line out. Right? I can send them dopamine. I can give them a little bit of a compliment, but I don't let too much line out because I got to reel that fish back in. How do I do that? I get back on the context of the call. I want
Mm,
you guys to think in those terms,
Yeah.
right? Because it allows you to become more astute to what's actually happening. Ed, I'm going to throw the football back to you. I want you to use that same formula. Turn up the volume. What do I mean by that? Speak higher, just a little higher. You know what I love about
mm.
what you just said? You just said something so interesting. By the way, I got to pause you there because I love what you just mentioned. That's it. Right? Here we go.
Roger that. Aaron, how are you today, brother?
I'm okay, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Before we jump in, I just taking a look at your profile. I wanted to understand a little bit about you, where you're at in the world.
Oh man, I'm over here on the East Coast. So just kind of bunkering down, waiting until about April comes because the weather has been brutal. I can't get a break, specifically when it comes to the cold winters of the East Coast, man. And so, but I've been weathering this storm, man. I'm tried and true from Jersey, and so I'm kind of used to it by now. We typically don't get a break until around, I would say May-ish, is when like we get a steady flow of warm
Yeah.
weather here. And so that's kind
Man,
of
you know what I love about that, Aaron? It's like you know what you want to do. You buckle down, so that means you're a fighter, and that's what this call is about. It's about you fighting for the next level of your life. So when we do that, let's get into what we're going to talk about today.
nice. Good job. Really good job. And let's go to you, Sergio. But if it's not obvious by now, all I'm trying to do, guys, is have you build the association by muscle. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care for perfect words. I don't care for perfect frames. I want you guys to build the muscle. The more that you're aware of it, the more that you can actually call upon it on your calls. Right?
Mm.
Sergio, you're up. Same thing.
Okay. All right. Hey, Aaron, I know I was referred over to you by Bill. And before we get the call started, I just want to get to know you a little bit, man. Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm actually calling from the East Coast, man. Yeah.
Yeah. What part of the East Coast?
I'm over by New York. You ever been? Big Apple, man.
The Big Apple, really?
Yeah.
I know. No, I have not. And anything interesting happening over there?
Nope, nothing really other than, probably, just been a lot of changes, governmental changes, got a new mayor in town, so people aren't happy about that. And so just been trying to stay neutral, stay out of trouble, as they
Oh,
say. And so that's been the
wow.
most important.
Okay. Well, that's exactly
Yeah,
what Bill told me. You're a no mess around kind of guy. You like to get things going. And so let's get into the call.
cool. Awesome. Good deal, guys. And so step number one, again, to all of this is you first have to recognize one thing I often talk about is in order to know that you're delivering somebody gold, you have to tell them they're getting gold, right? If you look at speaker training, Eli talks about this a lot, is that like when you're delivering gold, you have to set the gold up so they know they're getting gold. You ever listen to someone on a call and they say something powerful and they go, and then that was the moment. And then they kind of search the faces and everyone's like, okay. And they're like, damn, that didn't work. Right. And so it was almost like an inside joke between them and themselves. And
Yes.
so the same is true here. If you're going to give somebody gold, you got to set the gold up in a right way. And so what do I mean by that? When you're on your conversations, part of your conversations is you have to recognize when the call is running away from you. In other words, when it's losing emotional value. This is one of the biggest questions that I get when it's like, Aaron, when do I interrupt? When do I hop in? When do I take back call control?
Yes.
Part of understanding when to do this is when the call no longer holds emotional value. If they're saying something that no longer has any relevance to do with what you're actually talking about, we got to reel them back in. Example, how long you been trying to lose the weight? Man, I've been trying to lose this weight for about I would say about 5 years now. You know, it all started back when I first had a heart surgery, and this heart surgery, it was important for me to do this because my health had taken a really bad turn, and I was going through so
Mm.
many issues, and I was staying up late at night. Question, would you interrupt? Would you let them give them space? Sergio.
Typically, I would let them talk, to be
Okay.
honest.
Ed,
Yeah.
would you interrupt? Would you give them space?
I'm asking a question. So interrupt.
You would interrupt. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to remember that version. Here's version two. How long you been trying to lose the weight? Oh man, about 5 years ago, I've been trying to lose the weight, and it all started with a heart surgery. Interestingly enough, now that I think about it, it's probably hereditary. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
there's probably a few things in my life. Here are the
That you
difference.
interrupt. Yeah.
There, I would interrupt.
Bingo.
Yeah.
You guys see
That
it?
makes sense.
Version one, that was helpful to the narrative. That's actually helpful for me to know. There's a lot of emotional anchors and adjectives that person is using. Version two, he's starting to lose and understand why he's even talking about why the question I asked him in the first place.
Mm.
So part of being a good speaker is being an exceptional listener. This is what let me bring back my point. This is why you have to train your ear on what to listen for, or it will miss you and you would never even know it.
Thank you for doing this part right here, because I was getting confused in my own mind. Like, do I? This is what I've been doing. This is not like, and so thank you. That was a good clarification there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say it's like I role played when I first met Chase Hughes. I said, sit me down and pretend like I did this terrible thing and you're getting a confession out of me. And he would interrupt when somebody's like going into their story. It's like he's like asking questions and somebody go into the story. They say, Eli, I have to say, I know you're going to say something. We're going to get to that. I promise. But
Mhm.
what I see in you, I can tell you're a really great guy. I know that you want to do the right thing. And listen, I've been in this business for a long time. I've had thousands of these conversations. And while I like you, I feel like something's not adding up.
Mhm.
Mm.
Induce some stress, compliment. So that right there. So it's so great what Aaron's doing. This is not they talk 5 seconds. So we're actually looking for something
Mhm.
and noticing that this person has a neural pathway like an out, and we're
Yep.
interrupting that out. And we know they have that neural pathway that's an out because they don't have the result. So they begin to justify it. The weight,
Mm.
but this, yeah, but this, so they're always deflecting to, a different source of their problem, heredity, they have some out. So we can interrupt that pattern and then refocus them. So it's like that's what we're looking for. That's
Mm.
really brilliant.
I
Can
love
I
that.
ask a question on this one? So one of the questions that comes up in the dialogue when people ask me more about what it is I do and how I do it, I ask them about the growth trajectory of their revenue and how they do it in line with their operations. So I'm like, is your business growing over the last 3 years at somewhere between 2 to 10%? Yeah. So if I told you to 10x that, times it by 10, what would you do and when would it break? So what typically happens, they go into a story of exactly what they would do, and then my mind goes, well, why haven't you done it yet? So you really don't know what to do. So I'm asking a bad question, but what I'm trying to do is create a gap in real time. So relative to what we're practicing, if I said to you, all right, Sergio, so have your business been growing over the last 3 years?
Yeah,
Okay. And if I ask you to take that number in your mind and times it by 10, what would be your plan to get to that 10x revenue growth in the next 18 months?
I would probably have to do, but I'm not sure if that would work. I don't know.
Let me share a point. This is good. This is good. So I want to share with you two things that I'm going to answer your question, Ed, but I'm also going to give you guys another universal truth as to why people do what they do in the first place. When you ask a question like that, Ed, or if anyone you ask a question like that, two things are happening. The first thing is happening is that most people don't know actually how to answer that. And what I
Okay.
mean by they don't know how to answer that is they might have an idea of. And so what happens is the brain will start to tell a story. And then that story, when you're listening into it, it's like, that's not what I asked you.
Mhm.
But they don't know how to answer that because that's not something when I ask you, Ed, what street did you grow up on? You know that one. You know,
Mm-hmm.
ace that test, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the step number one is I would look at the question. Step number two,
Yeah.
so they start to insert a narrative that doesn't even serve you. So it's protection of ego. Why? Because they don't want to seem silly or they don't want to seem stupid, right? Or less than intelligent. The second thing is and I learned this concept from, Robert Cialdini when I attended one of his master classes. I thought it was brilliant, but he was using it as a different way, but I'm going to use it for this conversation. Is most people, when they think about horizons, it's very hard for the human brain to computate what's going to happen in 3, 5, 10 years from now.
Mm.
Because if I ask you where you're going to be in 10 years at in terms of your business cash flow, that's a very scatological answer. But if I ask you where you're going to be in 3 months, you could probably hit it on the head,
Mm.
right? You would know with a very high level of certainty where you're going to be. And so what we're doing is we're asking people to speak in timelines, but the timelines that we want them to be able to understand is ones where they can speak to it intelligently.
Okay.
Now I can speak intelligently because that's the here and now, not the far out future. And this is why, if you think, let's bring this as it relates to the context of sales, is that if you think about what's one of the questions that we ask in our framework, pop quiz time. Here we go. What's one of the questions that we ask in our framework? What's one of the four phases that talks about not their current state, but their
Future state.
bingo? So we call that the solution phase. In other words, where you want to
Mm.
go. So typically, if I'm
Mm.
script writing, I will ask the question, okay, help me understand 3 to 6 months from now, where do you want to be? What does life look like? Why? Because they can tangibly tell me what 3 to 6 months would look like. They'll tell me what it would feel like, what it would smell like, what are the sights, what are but if I go, well, 5 years from now, where do you want to be with your health? I don't know, man. I might be dead. You know? Oh, I'm not sure, man. So I want people to feel as if goals are not only possible, but realistic. We all want to have 8 figures in our bank account, but it's not really realistic if I ask you, well, how many figures do you have in your bank account now? Right? You see what I'm saying, gentlemen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so adjusting the timeline. So for you, again, Ed, adjusting the timeline of asking your entrepreneurial business colleagues, what does it look like is going to be key. And I also think maybe like diluting that question down into more exactness might be make them feel more intelligent because they can speak to it.
Fair enough. Roger
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, let me see. Let me share my screen again here. I know we're coming up at the top, but I also want to make sure you guys understand this. So here's the thing. What we talked about today is a tool, right? This is a tool that we talked about called call control. You have to be able to have call control. Why? Because the person who controls the call controls the speed. If you control the speed, you control the outcome. You have to be able to control the narrative of the conversation. Now, call control might be needed here, and call control might also be needed here. Call control it doesn't discriminate in terms of where it shows up within your framework. So I might have to use call control when I ask Ed, what is it about XYZ that's important to you? All of a sudden, Ed starts to ramble, right? Okay, cool. I bring him back on track. I use that three-step formula. But what happens if later on, let's just say I'm over here where I'm presenting my pillars, and I go, hey, and Ed, I think what we do here, you're really going to like. Step number one is ABC. And Ed starts to ramble again. What do? You use what? What's the tool?
The call control.
You use call control,
Mm-hmm.
but you might do it differently though. There's a lot of different ways to get there. I know we're at the top of the hour. Let me just show you guys two versions. So, version A, I set the hook earlier, right? I already told him, you know what's so great about you? But by the way, that works. But what if I need to
Yeah.
set the hook again? Well, I might go, Ed, go ahead and ramble after I finish this pillar, okay? Cool. So, Ed, based on what we just talked about there, do you feel like having something like that in your business would actually help solve that problem?
Yeah, and I think it would help Johnny because it would help multiple parts of my business. And I'm thinking like, how would I do it, and who would do it for me, and how would
Mm,
I freaking manage
yeah,
it? So it's
yeah,
a lot going on in there. Just trying to understand how I would
yeah.
apply it.
You know what I love about you is that the level of awareness that you have when it comes to your business is so exact. Most
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, they miss that one level of skill set, right? And since I know the purpose of this call is just to make sure that you have all the information, let me share with you something else I think you might like.
Hmm.
Now, what was the exchange of words I just said there? What's that small bit?
Complimented.
What'd you say, Sergio?
I said you complimented him,
I
and then you went back
compliment.
to, the purpose of the call.
Bingo. What's that P word?
Purpose.
Purpose. So I'm realigning him with the purpose of the conversation. And I didn't have to be mean. I didn't have to punch down on Ed. I didn't have to say, Ed, shut up. Shut up. This is my time, Ed. Right? I didn't have to do any of that. I can just simply realign him with the purpose of why we're having this conversation. And then I bring it back on. So that's the second way I might set the hook. I'm not saying that using call control is a cure-all where it won't happen again. In fact, it might happen again. But as an effective communicator, you have to have more than one tool in order to get the job done.
Hmm.
That's what this game is about, gentlemen, right? Having a foundation and then having tools that you use. I'm learning a lot about that when it comes to fishing, right? I can
Mhm.
have the best rod, I can have the best hook, but now I'm understanding, oh, when you're casting out in fresh water, that's a different game. When I'm out in open water, right? The ocean, that's a different game. Those are different hooks, different lures, different bait, different jigs, all these different things. I need the best tool for the job. Is this track?
Yep.
Cool.
Tracking.
I love it.
And Aaron did something really beautiful there too. He said, "Yeah, so many business owners I talk to, so that's a disassociation frame." And going back to your question, Ed, it's like, yeah, I'm curious what it is for you that you think you need, because it's surprising how many owners I think or I talk to, and they think that it's this, this, and this, and that's obviously why they don't succeed. But I'm curious, what do you think? So I can create some
Hmm.
control around their answer too, just in a one or two sentence context. And so Aaron did that just really quick. I put in the I'll find a way to send this to you. Chase Hughes has this amazing content, and he's got this reel that I just posted. Um, it says 90% of influence is about disassociation. So he
Mhm.
Hmm.
breaks it down, and we want them to. We can create these associations based on linked to behavior they linked to identity they want versus they don't want. So I want to get them connected to the fact that their current behavior is how other people don't succeed. So
Hmm.
I'm not asking a direct question, just like Ed, your question was kind of direct. I want to,
Hmm.
we're going to dig in this call and just kind of find out what you feel like your next level is, whatever that means to you. Not here to tell you, but I can tell you right from the start. I talked to a lot of business owners and they think it's this, this, and this. And
Mm,
obviously that's why they struggle. However, what do you think your next level is and what
Hmm.
support? So I can create some context around it. And if I'm talking
yes.
about other people, it's not direct. So sometimes
Yeah.
the questions become too invasive, too direct, too soon.
Hmm.
And just to Aaron's point, they don't know. Like,
Yeah.
it's like they don't know, so they're going to make
Yeah.
something up. And now they're confirmation bias. They gotta keep that story. They gotta keep
Yes.
that
Yeah.
story. It's like they've been on the Biden bus for 3 years, and they're still saying, "Yeah, he's cognitively good. He's sharp." And there's these, but you're just like, how are you saying that? And I think part of them really does believe it, but
Yeah.
they have to
Yeah.
say it, and that their story and their
Oh
livelihood
yeah.
is reinforced by it. And so it's the same thing for these people. They're reinforcing that they're all the time that they're doing the right thing, and that's what the
Okay.
projection, because they're a leader, they have to have that certainty. So
Mm.
simultaneously, in this example, we're taking away their certainty. You guys probably all seen me do my keynote where I do the Earth Moon example.
Hmm.
Earth gets bigger, moon gets closer, Earth shrink, moon goes away. And so the gravity is the certainty. And so I want to be
Mm.
certain, but it's not just about my certainty. I also want to decrease their mass or decrease their certainty in what they're thinking and feeling and believing. And just by these little things, I'm installing doubt, which makes them more
Hmm.
willing to
Yeah.
move.
Mm,
Makes sense.
Makes
that's
Yeah.
huge.
sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's what you just said there, and I got to jump for this next call, but that reminds me of that quote, tell a lie long enough, bold
Yep.
enough, and at times it becomes the truth. Who said that?
Hitler. Hitler.
Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hitler said that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he's right. And he's right.
Yeah.
You know, I love what you just said about that. So sweet. All right, gentlemen. So let's
Thank you.
off to the races. Remember, we talked about in the beginning of this call, speed of implementation. Do it, do it, do it. Do it messy, do it anyway. Right? Just do it. Get out there. I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Cheers.
Well,
All right,
thank you
man.
guys.
Thank you.